Today we're diving into a fascinating experiment somebody ran. What happens when you try to replace all of your everyday apps with AI for a full 24 hours? Let's see how it went.
Let's start with a pretty wild thought. What if most of the apps you use every single day are already obsolete? That's the big, provocative question behind this whole experiment. It's a bold claim for sure, so let's see if it actually holds up.
So the goal was ambitious, but also really simple. For one full day, just ditch the standard apps. No Google, no Notes app, no calendar. Just AI. The challenge was to figure out if artificial intelligence can really take over all these daily tasks, or if it's, all just hype. Okay, now to keep things legit, there were some pretty strict rules. First, anytime you'd normally reach for an app, you had to try AI first. No exceptions. Second, no manual searching and absolutely no mindless scrolling. Third, no manual editing tools. And finally, if AI just couldn't do something, it got logged as a straight-up fail. Pretty simple. So the experiment kicks off first thing in the morning. Think of it as a showdown between old habits and this brand new technology. Let's see how AI handled the very first tests of the day. First up, planning the entire day. You know how it is. The old way means you're juggling your calendar, maybe a Notes app, a to-do list. The AI way, though, it boiled all of that down to just a single, simple question.
And this is the exact prompt that was used. It's incredibly direct, right? No more fiddling with time slots or writing out your own lists, just a clear command asking for a totally structured schedule. And the result? A perfectly organized day popped out in seconds, complete with deep work sessions, breaks, the whole shebang.
So yeah, for planning the day, it was a clear, undeniable win for AI. It was faster, way more efficient, and honestly, it almost felt like cheating. Score is 1-0 in favor of AI. All right, next up is the ultimate challenge, trying to replace Google. Instead of digging through page after page of links, the goal here was to get direct, clean answers straight from the AI. This whole approach just sidesteps the entire search engine experience we're used to. Instead of scrolling past ads and clicking on a bunch of articles, a simple prompt like this just delivered a clean, concise summary. And this worked for everything from the weather forecast to explaining really complex topics.
For just getting quick, clear information without all the distractions, this was another solid win for AI. The experience was just faster and so much less cluttered. The score is now 2-0.
Now we're moving on to productivity. And this is where the experiment really shifted from simple tasks to, complex collaboration. The goal wasn't just to replace a Notes app, it was to use AI as an actual partner for brainstorming, for outlining, and for turning messy thoughts into clean, usable content.
And the result here? Well, it wasn't just a win, it was total domination. You could just feed the AI your rough, half-formed ideas, and it would structure entire articles, come up with different angles for a project, and it could even role-play as a critic to poke holes in your plan. It was like having a second brain. It replaced multiple productivity apps all at once.
But hey, it wasn't all clean sweeps for the AI. The experiment then moved into some more complicated tasks, where the results, they weren't so black and white. This is where we see the areas where AI is definitely catching up, but isn't quite there yet.
Take email, for example. The old way means carefully typing out every single reply. The AI way, you just copy the email you received and ask the AI to draft a response in the perfect tone, whether that's professional or casual or even firm. It took away all the mental effort of just, wording things correctly. So the AI-generated drafts, they were flawless. But there was a catch. The AI could write the email, but it couldn't actually send it. For that final step, you still had to go back to a traditional app. So, you gotta call this one a partial win. AI was an unbelievably powerful assistant for the hardest part of email, the writing, but it couldn't replace the entire workflow. Not just yet.
And that brings us to the real turning point in the story, because there were several areas where AI didn't just struggle, it failed completely. This really highlights the tasks that remain, at least for now, in the human-only zone.
And here they are, the big fails. AI could not replace the direct, real-time connection you get with messaging apps. It couldn't physically take a picture like a phone camera can. It couldn't process a payment. And it couldn't replicate that mindless but very human act of just scrolling through social media.
So after 24 hours, what was the final verdict? What did we actually learn from this whole thing? Let's break down the results.
When you look at all the results together, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. AI absolutely excelled at the internal cognitive tasks, things like thinking, writing, and planning. But where it failed was in connecting to the external world. Things like direct communication, physical creation, and real-world actions like paying for coffee.
And this leads us to the core revelation of the whole thing. After 24 hours, the conclusion was crystal clear. AI did not replace the phone. It just couldn't. But what it did was something else entirely.
It replaced the mental workload, and that is the crucial point. It took over all the heavy lifting of thinking, planning, and processing information, which freed up a ton of mental energy for other things. So this really reframes AI. It's not just another simple tool. It's more of a second brain. It's a system that you can partner with to actively think and plan. And once you start using it like that every day, it fundamentally changes how you work. So what's next? This experiment replaced apps for a day. But what about replacing an entire job with AI for a whole week? Now that's the provocative question this journey leaves us with. Makes you think, right? What parts of your job could it handle?